What's going on, guys? Eric Allen, owner of Top Rated MMA. Hey, this was a special episode I was able to do with Legend of the Cage presents Paul Varelans, MMA and professional wrestling legend. I had the honor of speaking with him. It's a longer video than normal, but it was such a great episode. Check it out. It's awesome.
Choose which way this will end, and I'll make it. If I fall down, there's no one to catch me. Nobody's witnessing. If I go down.
Paul, how's the day going, man?
Oh, pretty good. Not too bad.
I'm surprised that they're putting Yuna against Cris Cyborg. I think Yuna's good, but I think she's going to get murdered in under 2 minutes by Cyborg.
I think Cris Cyborg is a cyborg machine, but don't underestimate the Russian toughness.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Just like the thing about, and I fought in Russia. I fought Igor Jovanovich, whatever the fuck his name was. He looked like Popeye. He had big, fucking huge fists. He was like barely 5 feet tall, but he was fucking. He's the one with that picture of the Superman punch on Snap.
Right. Yep.
And that same guy hit like a man who's 600 pounds. The closest I've ever been to being knocked out was with that guy, and I luckily rough stopped it because I would say I was very vulnerable to being knocked out in that fight.
Sure.
He hit so hard, I was just rocked. So. What I'm saying is, and also in Russia in that same tournament, I was forced to take a key lock to its ultimate end, which is, I separated his shoulder. I could have broke his arm, but I set it in slowly and separated the shoulder. And that was because the fighter wouldn't tap. The guy just would not tap. I mean, I have a lot of respect and knowledge of the fact of how. These Russians are fucking tough.
Yeah.
But, doesn't take away Cris Cyborg's ability, I mean, but it's something, it's a little, those are my, if I was, basically handicapping fights,
yeah,
those are major handicaps are the subtle things. Like, I've got some interesting thoughts on Romero and Rockhold. We'll have to watch them a bit.
Yeah.
And there's some subtle things that, if you want to talk about that I'm really kind of into that one right now because it's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. I learned my lesson a long time ago. Never bet against the Russian guy or the Russian girl because I do the fantasy picks. Every time I pick against the Russian guy, I get my butt kicked.
They are fucking ornery. They are ornery. They've got a mixture of wiry and then stoic, cold darkness where they just deny pain exists.
Yeah.
And it makes for a very dangerous fighter. It makes for when you're punching someone or fighting someone that is just ignoring their body's basic, neuron system of warning things, lights, and it's very I actually shared a lot of that kind of thing. That's what I did. I was good at dealing with pain, but no, even not as good as some of these Russians. So it's just fucked. Like all I can say is fuck. The guy's arm I separated. It made me sick to do it because I could hear the muscles tear and the ligaments, and I was doing it too slow. Not to torture him, but to give him every chance I could for him to tap, and he just wouldn't take the fucking thing. So what it turned into was this fucking like millimeter by millimeter tearing of his arm up, and it was torturous for me because I didn't, I only wanted to do as much damage as I needed to a guy. That was how I fought, and then he made me hurt him. And it was, it was like wow. They raised my arm up. I looked over, and his shoulder was slumped to down to his midsection. It was crazy. Yeah. Yeah, nuts.
You brought Romero and Rockhold. What are your thoughts on this, man? I mean, both those guys are warriors. I think Rockhold's technical, right? But it could go either way.
Like absolutely, and the things, the subtleties that I'm leaning towards, and it may not be so subtle, but But now, Yoel Romero is one of these freakish, natural, smooth-moving, like, monsters that just, he does a lot of interesting things that I like. He'll bring different kinds of motion and kinds of, like you have to master the art of moving properly as a wrestler and a fighter before you can start freestyling and moving really loose and almost moving like a capoeira style where you're wide and you're moving from different directions, which I really like that. I think that brings to the fight a like an X factor where when you're moving in an uncommon way, that your opponent is thrown off a little bit. Like they're not working in a zone that they're comfortable with, and you open up opportunities in that way. And I think that's Spider Sylvia does that, and a lot of the Brazilians do that. And now I see this guy Romero doing that. I think that's all. These are all what are working for him. Now, what I think was working against him is he is, the Cuban passion thing and the pride thing and the ego thing he's got going, which is a very sharp two-sided sword.
Sure.
On one side, it cuts and makes you very powerful, makes you very edgy, but on the other side of it, if you get cornered, if you can't start to dominate like you like to, I've noticed that they'll get very frustrated, or they'll even lose an interest because it's not going how it should be going, how, the machismo's getting in their ear and going, oh, fuck, what's going on here,
Right.
So I think that if you drop the thug crap and bring just who he is a big-hearted, amazing athlete, and drop the moving like a thug and trying to look tough, I think he'd be a better fighter for it, honestly. Because ego never helps in the fight. It really doesn't. You need to rely on what you know and who you are, and not worry about what anybody else is thinking about you or how you look doing it. It's just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So that's the plus and positives for Romero. Now, Luke Rockhold, his strength to me is that he is very much the no-nonsense business, very aggressive, very hungry. He's working with some amazing, this cutting-edge science training stuff, and what they have him doing to help develop his body and mind at the same time is all very, very impressive. And I actually am leaning towards him for the win, because I think that he's solid enough, powerful enough, smart enough to box up Romero and not let Romero blow out on him. Not let Romero do that emotional sprinter, crazy, power moves. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think Rockhold's solid enough to contain him, keep him from blowing out on him and doing anything crazy, and then wearing him down. And then one of the things that I saw that I liked in his training a lot was I call it the Simon board. Remember the game Simon where you had to touch the colors and remember what colors were?
Yeah.
They basically have a big board that's kind of like Simon's thing, where when he's exhausted, they have him go over and, mimic where the lights are. He's going to touch in succession and quickly. And that is really a very smart training technique, because when you're exhausted, it's when we make mistakes and we start to lose that mental edge, and that mental edge it's everything. It's everything. When you're mentally together, when exhausted, you're making choices versus reactions. Reactions are when you're making choices, you're driving. When you make reactions, you're behind in the timeline. And so either your time can be very relaxed and very proactive, or it can be very short and very reactive, which sucks.
Yeah.
So I think that
Oh, I was agreeing with you.
Okay, so I think that board is teaching him to think in bullet time, to think well in bullet time. You know what I mean? Both have that stretch thing. And so I really think, I can't even say how much I am impressed with that training technique there. And I think that gives a huge advantage to Rockhold. And it leads itself to that. Remember I was saying how, Romero, if you're impassioned, you can get a little desperate quicker because you want it. It could be not even because you're not doing well, it's because you just want it so bad. You start to just, I just want to take this thing and make it happen. And that's not always the best mindset. I mean, it's not bad, but a cool mind making proactive choices is a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And so I'm giving, and Rockhold's working just as hard as Romero, just differently, doing a very efficient and cool-headed way.
Right.
So, yeah, so I'm giving a leaning towards Rockhold, and if he can box up Romero and not let Romero use that crazy impassioned perspective to get a crazy punch in and start to get on top of him,
Right. Yep. Yeah.
What do you think?
I picked Rockhold to win, and I think it'll go all 5. I just don't see one of these guys dominating the other. I think it'll be. I think Rockhold's going to win. I think he'll win unanimously. Technically, I think he's going to be able to really control the stand-up game with Romero. I also think he's a little bit more technical on the ground than Romero. But Romero's got such strong heart, and he just goes at it like crazy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give up, right? And so it could go either way. Romero's got the strength. He's got the knockout power. He's obviously just a beast of a man when he gets in there. But I see Rockhold winning this. He's already been, he's held the belt before. I think he's hungry for it again. He's trying to get back in there. He had a really nice win over David Branch, and he looked amazing in that fight. I think he's going to come in and really dominate the fight. I don't see him finishing Romero, but I do think that he'll win unanimously at the end after 5 rounds.
Oh, absolutely. Neither of these guys are going to dominate each other unless a huge mistake is made and they don't, you reel back from it. They don't come back from some silly mistake. And that's, it's going to be a war. It should be a war.
Yep. I'm excited. It'll be a good night of fights for sure. It should be, like I said, I think Rockhold will take that win via decision there. Have you watched or heard? I know that you like the ladies' fights, man. I like watching, Invicta fighters and the women's MMA. Like you were saying, like we were talking the other day, it's crazy how awesome and popular it's gotten. And I think a lot of times these guys get in the cage and they do these like patty cakes, right? They're just tapping gloves and they're not really. But you don't see that with the ladies, man. They get in there and they're like, we're in here to fight. Let's do this. And have you watched much of Megan Anderson's tapes?
No, that's one hole in I didn't get to Megan. I didn't get to her. Give me some breakdown on her.
So she's from Invicta. She actually left Invicta as their title holder. She's from Australia. She lives here in the States. But I think she vacated her belt for personal reasons. And I don't think that's ever come out. But she's really good she's got a really good stand-up. She's got knockout power. She's mean looking. Like, if you see a picture of her, she's got 2 full sleeves of tats. She's ready to come in there.
I got to get that.
It's all about the intimidation, right?
Right. Well, the ink is kind of crazy. It was weird. You can't help it. You look over at a guy like Chemo with that freaking cross on his back. Tell you, okay, this guy's definitely got something going on in there.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something. I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the business plan the UFC is holding with this pay-per-view stuff, making these event pay-per-views versus committing to their relationship with Fox and network TV, where all the advertisement is and everything. Do you think that do you think it's better pay-per-view than the commercial?
I mean, I think they make more money on the pay-per-view, but I think that from a fan's perspective, it gets a little old wanting to pay $65 twice a month or 3 times a month. You know.
You know.
It's expensive for sure. As a fan, if you're going to go go the pay-per-view route, I think there's a lot of people who do that and they commit to doing that 3 times a month or twice a month whenever they're doing it. I think the majority of the fans and what got it more popular is being on the TV side, right? All the fighters started on cable, and so that's really what got popular, crowd to MMA in the first place. I think they need to keep that going. I know the Fox contract, I thought I'd seen that was coming up to an end here in another year.
Fox is going to back out. Fox is not going to renew.
Right, okay. Yeah, so I'm curious what they'll do after that then.
Well, yeah, I asked you the question because, of course, I want to, speak what I got to say on it.
Yeah.
I think the UFC is making a huge mistake in not putting all their chips into the network.
Yeah.
Because you made a very good point that it's expensive for the fans, and when you put together a really good card, and then somebody drops out because of an injury, now why are they going to want to pay the same amount of money if the card is not as strong?
Right.
They're getting cheated.
Yep.
And there truly is more money in commercial TV. That's why the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, they're there for a reason, because the money's there, okay? Now, the problem why the money hasn't appeared with Fox is because, well, they're not giving Fox their best shows. They're giving Fox their leftovers. And so Fox is like, why are we going to pay for the top-notch, these commercial dollars, if you're not giving us the best show, And I think that the UFC's tainted their relationship with the network by not giving them the good stuff. And if they just would commit to that, they'd see 10 times more money, the fans would be happier, and it would grow like most normal sports do. And for some reason, they're not getting it. I mean, you don't have to say, "Hey, believe in me." Take a look at the business plans or the business structure of all the major sports.
Yeah.
And the relationship that they have with Fox isn't going to work out because they're not giving them their best stuff. It's like
right.
It's like if the baseball league would say, "Hey, here, you get our farm leagues, and we're gonna put the best guys on pay-per-view." I mean, it doesn't work like that. They want the best. They want their 18 guys, their 18 games. So why would Fox feel good about we're getting the scraps?
Yep. Yeah. And I wonder, I mean, I think everybody knows it's all about greed for the UFC. You look at Bellator, they might do one pay-per-view every 6 months or a year maybe. But
right.
all of the fighters, they're leaving the UFC and they're going to the Bellator side of things for a better money. They can get sponsors again, and it's like the UFC is trying to stronghold all of that. I remember when Top Rated MMA first started back in 2012, it took off way faster than I was prepared for, and I started getting calls from Jeremy Stevens' management side of things and a couple other fighters, and like, "Hey, do you want to sponsor these guys in the UFC?" "Oh, that's great. How much do you want?" "Oh, it's $10,000." And then the UFC wanted $50,000 or something like that if you were an apparel company. It's just insane.
Right. Well, that's here's this is what I see, and this follows the UFC back into the SCG time.
Yeah.
The promoters, the promotion is mad with power control. Mad with it. They're control freaks. And they also, honestly, if you looked into the heart of Dana White, you'd realize that he thinks his management of the UFC has made it what it is today. Not
Right.
the fucking fighters, not the outstanding fights, not the fans who love it, but
Yeah.
his tinkering with things is at the heart of it. That's why he gets a new sports car every week or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, and it's like it's so maddening. I mean, I've had this. I've been up against this since I was doing it. I mean, when we were having the fights at the events, and you know, the groupies were coming around, these hot chicks were coming around, and of course, they were hitting on the fighters. Of course, we were scooping them up, and not Davies, but the head guy was, you know, the president of SEG. He was getting pissed, like, come on, girls, we're the real money, we're the reality behind it. And they weren't, like, yeah, back up, buddy. You know, and it was like, there was a real problem with, like, it was, you know, it was weird, man. These guys don't, the promotion people are not supposed to be at the head of it. They're not supposed to be at odds with the fighters. They're supposed to be, it's supposed to be a team, and everybody on his team and making it good for everybody. But there's this weird freaking thing where the promoter has decided they want to. I mean, I guess it started with the guy in boxing. What's his name? King. You know, they want to be part. They want to be part of the show. They're part of the show now, and I mean, really. Who really these fans are showing up to watch Dana White have an epic scare off? Really, that's what we're here for. So, you know, I mean, have things gone well for the UFC? Yes, and have they done great things? Yes, but they're not the heart of it. They're not the reason for it.
Yeah,
you know, and I honestly think part of this staying in pay-per-view is they want more. They love that feeling of control. They love that this ticket that I'm putting together is making this happen, and it goes to the only corruption that's in the game is from the top. You know,
right? Yep.
Every fighter and every fan wants to see the best against the best, and the only time the fans don't get that is when Dana decides, well, we're not having this fight. We're not going to have that fight. You're not going to fight this person. And what the hell? You know, if this is the top rated guy and this top rated thing, they need to fight.
Yeah.
And there's no real rhyme or reason except for a humongous ego that there's a problem. So, you know, hopefully, I think, you know, there's just been so much easy money for the UFC. Thank God Invicta and Top Team have come in and Strikeforce to finally have some competition. And competition is the only really way for any process to stay healthy. You know, it's called free market, and it's supposed to be free. You know, it's supposed to be competition, and that drives things to become better for everybody.
Yeah, it's weird. I think the UFC has some weird priorities, right? I mean, like they're promoting, like there's a rumor that CM Punk is going to come back and he's going to fight Mike Jackson.
Right.
You know, it's like,
you know,
Mike Jackson's a reporter. He's not even a real fighter. You know, I mean, yeah, he had a couple fights. But...
Exactly. let me tell you, you're dead on right. These guys with power and money, they sit around drinking scotches, going, hey, let's try this out. While they're drunk, they come up with some stupid idea, and they've got the money and the power to make it happen. They're going to follow through because their stupid idea, nobody's like got balls enough to go, man, this is dumb. Dana, this is a dumb idea. Because everybody's a yes, you know? And I got a good story for you.
Yeah.
Good example of this. UFC 7. I had the worst flu I've had in my entire life. I was sick as a dog right before the fight. They were taking us from, you know, hot, it was like a heat wave in New York City. We're going from air conditioning car to 103 degree temperature into air conditioning, in and out all over the place for the press junk and stuff. And so I get sick as a dog. And, you know, these guys are, really, you know, the head guy really didn't like me, and he was excited to see him to get sick because he wanted to really have a reason to get rid of me.
Sure.
And I did. I got sick as a dog, and I started eating grapefruit and raw garlic like you wouldn't believe, because grapefruit is it helps your blood serums carry white blood cells, and garlic is an antibiotic, and I don't back out of a fight. So I don't care how sick it was, I was going to fight. Well, I'm coming into the hotel with my big bag of grapefruit and garlic, and I'm walking by the bar, and all the execs, the director and the blah blah blah, all these suits with scotches and cigars are all sitting around the table laughing. Hey, Varelans, come here, we got to tell you something. I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I'm green, sweating, and these motherfuckers, they said, hey, we got this thing figured out, and I'm all, yeah, you guys always got it figured out. And they're like, yeah, you're gonna take 5th place, and that's a way of saying, haha, you're fucked, we know you're fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I said, 1 second, guys, 1 second. So I go up to my room, and I had this little mini magic 8-ball I had on my keys, like you shake it in question.
Yeah.
And I came back all the way downstairs, and I said, I shook it up, and I said, how are things going to go for me? And I looked into it, and I looked at those guys, and I said, you guys are in for a big surprise tonight. And I'm white and sweating. I mean, I'm sick as a dog. And they don't know me, so they're writing me off. So, like, haha, Varelans, really funny. So that night, I make it all the way to the finals. I go with Marco Ruas, and my first 2 fights, I blew through and just did my thing. I had a great fight with Marco Ruas. Matter of fact, I had such a great fight with Marco Ruas that at 8 minutes into the fight, because the UFC at that time was too cheap, they didn't buy enough cable time, half the cable companies pulled the cord on the event. And they had to refund all those people.
No
they
way.
Well, yeah. They lost their ass on UFC 7. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like $7 million, I think, was they had to refund.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, the only one of those executives that was cool enough to come up to me afterward and say something, in a nice way was Mark Davies. And he said to me, he goes, Paul, did I get that magic 8-ball off you? Buddy, no, that's my friend right there. He's like, well, good show and everything. And my relationship went in the toilet with the UFC at that point, because, not because Art Davies, but I still can't think of the guy's name, but the president of the thing, he was so out of his mind ego-wise that he thought I was pretending to be sick, and I set the whole thing up to throw people off, and so I had this mental edge, and there's no way I really could have been sick. And because I fought Marco for almost a distance, that I was the reason why he lost all the money on that show. And so it became this personal thing between me and the head of the STG. And my point of the story is that these guys, these guys like Dana, and they're running these things, they get crazy.
Yeah.
They get crazy. They start thinking things that just aren't real time.
Right.
And, it'll catch up. It'll catch up. So, hopefully, I don't know. The only reason why I can strongly say, hey, I know the money's in commercial TV is because look at the big boys. Look at the NFL. Look at the NHL. Look at the real, they're money. So,
I think if all the real money was in the pay-per-view, we'd see, like, the Olympics. They would be on pay-per-view. That's a global, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
pay-per-view is a reflection of control.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It just is a way for them to control everything, which, I don't know. You hear all the stories of all of the amounts of money that the headliners are making, or the main events and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, but you might have a few fights on the prelims where guys made their normal 10K or maybe less than that even just to show up. And then I've always heard the stories of, like, the unproportion of where that money's been distributed out to fighters,
It's insane. The inequity in it is insane. And for them to deny these guys their money to survive on while they're fighting their way up through being sponsored it's like the Monopoly guy just I get all the money. It's not. It's just fucking not. It's un-American.
Yeah.
It's fucking un-American, man.
Yep.
You let people do what they're going to do. You let them be as strong as they can be. I mean, once again, the UFC would have you believe that it's their event that's everything. It's not these guys. These guys don't mean a thing. They don't want they want one guy who's hot to mean something. The McGregors, the what's your face was hot for a long time. They got their one hot commodity that they want to pump and push, and they pay them pretty decently, but they want to act like everybody else underneath them means nothing. There's the UFC name. It's a UFC name alone if it's worth anything. And that's why it's a godsend, the Invictus, the top team, the Strike Force, or Strike Force still around?
No, UFC swiped that up, man. They closed it all up.
Yeah, see, that's okay. And now, honestly, now you want to talk legal again, the business model the UFC uses is a monopoly style business model.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
They swallow up any competition that comes along, and there's laws against that. There really are laws, monopoly laws that they're breaking, and that's it's comes down to who eventually is going to go. I want to take this monstrosity on, and
right.
Or does the ownership group finally go? Somebody in that ownership group go, hey man, let's do this right. Let's quit with what's going on here and let's reevaluate. If somebody could take a realistic business model into the ownership group and say, hey, this is how much money we're losing because we're not going with commercial. And there was a time when you could do anything as a promotion group because this is so great and make gobs of money no matter what you do. That was a time, but now it's time to let's make this thing real. Let's make a real time business model, and that's
right. And I think Scott Coker, he was so good at that when he was with Strikeforce, right? And then and then when he took over for Bellator, you start to see that increase of talent go to that way. You see to see increase of money being put out to the fighters, and I think that Bellator is on this huge upswing where you start to see the UFC like kind of these nonchalant, maybe just generic MMA fans, right? They're like, oh, the UFC, that's the big name, right? But it's like the real true fans out there, they know what's going on. They're seeing all these big talent name guys going to the Bellator side of things, and I think we're going to see this big upswing from Bellator, and they're taking advantage of the cable, right? I mean, they're drawing all of that.
I think that if they stick with the realistic model that they're doing now, they're just gonna do better and better. And the UFC is either gonna try to buy them out, or the UFC will clue in and start to get more realistic. And that is paying the guys who are coming up what they're worth. And the truth is if you start to pay the upcomers that are good, that are truly good, you start to get a more consistent talent pool. You get like really consistent. You get consistency in your talent. You get better undercard fights. You get a better product for your fans, and it all. The better everybody's doing, the better everybody's doing. Okay. The truth of the matter is there's no trickle down effect in the world. There's a trickle up effect. Right. When people are doing great, when the more people are doing great, when the middle's doing great, when the lower end's doing great, everybody's coming up because they're the one paying their taxes out and paying the real big money into the sport, into the it's the better. It's just a better does better. It's just the truth,
Yep. Yeah. And it was interesting. I saw a fighter post something on Facebook. It came up my stream a couple days ago that he had signed a Bellator contract. He's a prelim guy, but he was complaining because, and who knows if this is legit or not. It seemed like the comments was like, yeah, this is a real contract, but they were offering him $250 to show and $250 to win. And I thought that's like regional. That's less than regional pay, I would think. So who knows? But I thought it was kind of interesting he's throwing that out there. It's the first time I've seen or heard of Bellator paying that little to fighters, but I don't think they're paying their fighters.
Maybe it's a startup contract. Maybe that's just for an introductory time. You know what I mean?
True.
Like I can see that making like if this is our intro for our relationship with you. Yeah. This is going to go for maybe 6 months or something. That's not so bad. And if you throw into the deal, you have the right to have sponsorship. You can have your sponsors, and they can pay you what they want.
Right.
Then that can be a very good situation. Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I'm, I actually think that it's illegal for the UFC to deny fighters sponsorship. To intercede where if a sponsor wants to pay your fighter because they like the fighter and they want to be behind them, who are you to limit that?
Yeah,
I think that's illegal. That falls under what do they call it? In equity law, there's a thing called forfeiture of enrichment.
Okay,
and that's where you're disallowing an individual to make money off of what, like, say you're coming in and saying, okay, this is your land, you're leasing it from me, but I'm not going to let you grow. Say you want to grow something that's a higher yield product, right? Because the person is renting says, no, you can only grow wheat here. But if I grow almonds, I can get so much more money, and I'm already paying you for your land. You don't have the right to tell me what to do on the land, what's I pay you for it.
Yeah.
So it's like they're denying them the right to prosper, to do the best with what they have. Yeah.
I mean, totally. Yeah. I think that's it's almost sickening to see someone not be able to make money doing what they do out there in the cage.
Absolutely. This is the sponsor is not relating to the UFC. The UFC is not losing any money by the sponsor supporting the fighter. Okay?
Yeah.
The UFC is coming in like a pimp and going, this is my bitch. My bitch don't get nothing else but what I give them. And that, we don't see that as illegal pretty much, a whole pimp relationship. And so, it's wrong. It's not just wrong on a moral level, which it is. It is illegal. If you got a good attorney who's willing to work with the fighters, and it's not going to be a lot of money right away, but just do it out of out of it's the right thing to do. The UFC couldn't do these things. I wish I still had my contracts from when I signed with the UFC. I lost everything in a fire, but I would go through my contracts and I would write through stuff that was illegal. And I'd be like, sure, I'll sign this, but it doesn't make it legal. I mean, you can put in a contract, hey, Paul Varelans is paying Eric to $5,000 to kill him, and I agree to it in a contract, so let's do this. It doesn't make it legal. You can't do an illegal thing because there's a contract. And that's what the UFC is doing, in essence, is doing illegal activities under the guise of contract law, which, most fighters don't understand that well.
Yeah. And there was this rumor for a while, and maybe they're still in the works, I don't know, but that they were going to try to start some sort of fighters union. Do you think that would help that?
No, absolutely. That's something that the Legends of the Cage was very forcefully getting into. I need to talk to Brian more about it more. I think that I would like to see, because that's all sports have is a union for their representatives. And it's hard with individual sports because it's not team oriented. The individuals kind of out to get their own, but if you can get the message to them that, hey, this is good for everybody. It's really what is needed. It's a fighters union is what's needed. And here's one of the sick things that the UFC does to fighters is the UFC has been and probably will be the premier event in the fight game for a long time. And they know this. And they know that these fighters will do anything. It's almost like a religious quest to make it to the UFC. They'll do anything to train their asses up for it. So the UFC dangles this in front of their heads. We're not going to pay you. We're not going to treat you well. We're not going to let you prosper, just so you can come and we can totally take advantage of it. I mean, all they do to these guys is fully pimp them out. He pimps out the fighter, and the fighter does it because he loves what he does.
Right.
He loves the fighting. He loves the sport. He loves the fans. The fans love them, and these promoters sit back and they just soak up all the gravy. They take their blood, their sweat, their tears, and they buy a new sports car every fucking week.
Right. Yeah, it's insane to see that. You know, and like, you know, I just saw in the news that Dana White's out there spending $69,000 on new swords from the pawn shop down in Vegas or something like that. You know, it's like, how many fighters could he have actually paid with that? You know, I mean, come on.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. It's greed unchecked, and we actually have our legal system is actually designed for fairness. Like contracts. One of the tenets of contract law is that both parties enter a contract get a fair shake.
Right.
And if you can prove that you didn't get a fair shake on the contract, it nullifies it right then and there. Anything done illegally, it nullifies it. So, you know, it boils down to these guys with all this heart and all this hard work and all this blood and all this love they're giving are too afraid to rock the boat, because the boat that they're on is what they want most in the world.
Yeah,
it's like if Santa Claus was like going, listen, if you don't do what I want, you're getting the cold this year, and that's all you're gonna get. There's no other Santas in town.
Right.
You know, like it's literally, you know, and it's sad to see, and it's ick. It's creepy.
Yep.
It's like a pervert taking advantage of a person, you know.
Sure.
And
absolutely.
And I think the fans honestly are sick of it too. And I think not only, you know, I think that the more they find out about it and know about it, the less they're going to support the UFC and say, listen, we're open to supporting our fighters and following, you know, wherever they're fighting.
Yep.
And, you know.
So, a question for you is, do you think Conor McGregor's good or bad for the sport, or do you like him? Do you dislike him?
You know, I don't have a problem with him. And as far as bad for the sport's concerned, he's only playing ball with the game that's in town.
Right.
Okay? He's smart enough to go, hey, I got lucky, I've hit the golden hoop here, and I'm gonna take full advantage of it. I've learned that, you know, I used to hate guys like Tank that would just talk shit and they got all this pump and money because they sell out and everything. But you know what? It's smart. Bottom line, it's smart to take full advantage while you've got it. When you have an opportunity, run it to the hilt, because you know what? If you don't, you know, Dana White's not gonna just, you know, give you anything. So I'm not hating on the guy. I think he's a great fighter, and what he's doing is it's a reflection of the culture that he's in. You know,
for me, I'm not a big fan of him because he's never defended a belt. He's gotten 3 belts in his career, and then he just leaves, and he kind of leaves things in the air. And now he was a lightweight champ, and he was like, you know, Dana's little prince boy, right?
Yeah.
And Dana didn't want to say he was going to strip him, right?
I hate those guys too, but I have to give the nod that they're taking advantage of a system that's giving them the opportunity to be a whore. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
And so he's made the most of being a whore. And you know what? Hey, hats off to your whore. You know, you're a tough whore, but you're a whore. So, you know, we stop acting like one, I'll stop calling you one.
Right,
you know?
Sure. It's there for the taking, and I think he's been smart about it in his career.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to make the money.
Yeah.
This is where I can,
And I'm not going to be one of these guys who doesn't give a person due what they're doing. And I'm going to call it like it is. He's a really great whore, and he's not he's a great fighter,
Yeah.
But he's what he's missing. If he wasn't missing the moral position, or not would say moral position, but the position of keeping it real, then he couldn't take advantage of it. You know what I mean? If he came at it with the right kind of attitude, the door would be shut to him. Data would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
But to get, to lay with dogs is come up with fleas. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, it is what it is. So, I'm not a hater, but I am going to call it as I see it,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.